Okay, I'm going to call to order.
Beckwith,
Here.
Caldwell, absent. Farkapisi,
Here.
Kedman, absent. Kotsinis, absent. Linsdau,
Here.
and Sutton.
Here.
We have a quorum.
Okay, pledge.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
The Warren Newport Public Library District provides the community with access to information, kindles the imagination of children and adults, and supports lifelong learning. So just correspondence, I'm going to pass this around. This came to my email, and you'll see Ryan put a cover memo. This is a memo from Comptroller Mendoza, and I'm going to let you explain it to everyone the way you explained it to me.
Well, long story short, it's something that we already meet the requirements, so we can get into that if you'd like, but basically we've already met the requirements, so I don't know if there's more to say about it.
I just want full disclosure that I got this, and so everyone knows that I.
Is it something new or no? I mean, we don't have to do anything different.
Right, we don't have to do
Okay,
anything
right,
different, so it's
so-
just
Just
for the course of being transparent. you know,
Yeah,
we're
that's right. Transfer.
Passing it around to the board, but no action is needed by
So
the
it's saying you
board.
have to keep your books on accrual basis?
Yeah.
And we do that on the year end, not on the month. during the month.
Right.
Any other
Do you want to pass this around?
Oh, yeah.
It's probably a good
Again,
place for
maybe
is
we can make
generally
this till now.
accounting,
That's fine, yeah.
generally
Yeah.
accepted governmental accounting standards, something, yeah.
Okay.
Okay, the board allows up to 20 minutes for public comment. Individuals may introduce themselves and speak on any library issues, not to exceed 3 minutes. Those who want their remarks added to the board record must provide a copy to the board secretary prior to speaking. Does anyone want to make a public comment? Okay. All right, first thing is the audit. You want to sit here?
Sure.
I'm going to move
Just
over,
here.
no, so you can be
Do you want to use the?
On the camera.
on the camera.
Don't need to use that.
Again, we're just- yeah,
You don't need to, but you
you'll be on
can-
the
If
If you
camera.
want me to sit down there, I will.
Yes.
Yeah.
So you don't need to use it, Chris?
No, I don't need to use it.
Oh.
Oh, well,
okay.
then you can just,
But if
I'll
he's
just
gonna
sit
be,
there.
but the
Or I can
camera's
stand
facing
down
this
here if
way.
you
Okay,
want. If it's
whatever you
easier for
wanna
the
do.
camera. I'll just stand.
okay.
Keep
let me
It'll
get
be
me
you
star
short,
somewhere.
make sure I'm not-
now.
So the Mendoza thing that you guys were talking about, that freaked a lot of people out, because I think about 2/3 of the governments in Illinois are on the cash basis. And initially it came out, said retroactively, starting last year, 2016, if you're a cash basis, you're in violation. Well, they've since backed off and said that you have 2 years to do it, so that's good. But you guys, like Ryan said, are already there, so you have nothing to worry about. So hopefully you all got a PDF of these reports that Doug's passing out. So we just have a paper copy now we can talk about briefly. I guess good thing that the Cubs game's at 8 o'clock, right? So I have an hour, right? I'll try and make this pretty brief and painless. It's kind of the usual spiel, but I'll continue it because it's once a year for you and once a year for me. So I got two things to talk about. I have this letter and I have the audited financial statements. This letter is the easy one to talk about. I mean, this is called a required communications letter, and it's really, the main point of the letter is primarily to say if there were problems. You'll see noted a few times through here where we say, nope, there wasn't a problem, nope, wasn't a problem, nope, wasn't a problem. And so that's really about all I have to say on that, except for if anybody has any questions on it, I'm happy to answer it. And which brings me to my first point, that I'm going to try and do a whirlwind tour of the financial statements, and don't panic because I'm going to spend most of my time on the very first few pages, then it's over almost. But please interrupt me if you have any kind of question or comment to make all your friends happy, because your comment will be more interesting than what I have to say. So it's not a bad time, to visit the financial statements and see what these have to say. So I think spending a couple minutes with them is okay. The letterhead, it's now a 2-page opinion that we write, but it's a clean opinion. It's what you want. Your financial statements are presented in accordance with generally accepted accounting principles, and we found no material weaknesses. So that's good news. So I'm going to start off really with page 4, and I'll spend a couple minutes here because this is the only place in the financial statement set that you'll see anything that's comparative to last year, page 4. And I think, that's always interesting as well. At least how are we doing compared to last year, So, and these are done on what's called the government-wide statements. So these aren't your fund statements. These are government-wide statements, more like a business would prepare, with full accrual and fixed assets and debt on the balance sheet, etc. And again, I just have a few comments to make on this page. So right at the top of the page, current assets, the first line, you got a million more in current assets than you did last year. That can't be a bad thing. Then going down to condensed statement of changes in net position, where the revenues and expenses. Kind of want to point out on the first line there, property and replacement taxes. First of all, 2017 property and replacement taxes are like $45,000 more than the taxes from the previous year. Now you need to know this is the 2015 levy that really is recognized as revenue at this point. So the little thing with the bond fund and all that didn't impact any of this. That's just balance sheet items at this point. And I do want to point out the third line down, grants. You'll notice in 2016 there's 51,000 there. That's because you received a per capita grant the previous year. This year it was awarded, but I guess based on all the confidence that we all have in the state of Illinois, the receivable was not booked. So your per capita grant, we have a letter that says you were awarded it. Have you received it yet? Do you know? Okay, so it wasn't booked as a receivable or as revenue. And then if you look at the 80% of the way down there, after revenues, after expenses, it says change in net position, negative 441,000. Boom. Why did that happen? Because last year was negative 36,000. Well, almost 100% of that loss is the change in the pension expense. If you'll notice up a little bit where it says pension, 923,381 versus last year 522,974. Blame the actuaries. That is not how much pension money you paid out. That is what their noggins came up with as the actual accrued pension expense of this year, with all the pluses and minuses that they go through. We're going to see that that's actually complicated how that number was arrived at.
I've been all over it.
Yeah.
I'm okay with it.
Okay, good. Yeah,
It's all smoke
Andrea
and
was digging
mirrors.
deep, and I'm sorry for her for that. But that's almost exclusively what drove the negative number. Without that, you would have had almost exactly the same loss as last year. Okay, so that was interesting for accountants, I guess, or somebody. Page 5 at the top. This is a nice snapshot of like, how did we do last year? Okay, so at the top of page 5, now this is just on fund statements. So fund statements are basically, not exactly because your funds are on the accrual basis, but kind of the money you took in, the money goes out. More numbers that we normally deal with every day. And you'll see that actually the net increase for the year over your fund balance from last year, this year is $298,000. So, and that shows it by fund. And so, I don't know, I thought that was, it's just nice to kind of know how you did. Okay, so that's enough of the comparative stuff. I'm gonna spend a couple minutes on, probably page 6 and page 7. So page 6 is your balance sheet, and that's got a lot of information in there. So that has both your fund statements, which are the first 4 columns, and then your government-wide statements, which is the last column, which is, and then adjustments in the middle. So, again, pointing out what we all understand, cash and investments, as of the end of the year, you had $8,800,000 in cash and investments. Of course, some of that is next year's property taxes that you already collected this year that you're planning on spending next year. Actually, it's about 3.5 million of it, because you can tell the difference between the deferred property tax revenue total of $6,744,000 and the property tax receivables $3,287,000 indicates that you've collected about $3.5 million of next year's levy, what's used to fund next year. So of that 8.8 million, about 3.5 million's more or less assigned to next year. The good news is last year you only had 8.1 million in cash. So again, I don't know why that would be a bad thing. And then I'll just make a passing reference to this. When you see the net pension liability, I think it went down a little bit, and you're like, well, why did the pension expense go up so much? It's because there was a big change to this deferred outflows of resources related to pension. That went way down. And there was also a new deferred item related to IMRF pensions 566, deferred inflows. And all those numbers relate together to make the expense. That's really all you want to know. So, and then if you look at the next page, page 7, that's more or less your income statement. And again, if I'm you, and you guys go for financial statements every month, I'm focusing on the general fund. The general fund had $233,000 revenue over expenditures. You put $75,000 in the capital projects fund or special reserve fund. And I really only have maybe two other comments. One, if you look at the bottom of your end of the year general fund of your fund balance, it's 3.4 million. So that's kind of like over all ups and downs over your entire history, that's how much money you got. That's your reserve, you can say. And one way I like to think about a reserve is I think about it in relation to annual expenditures. So right now, your 3.4 million reserve is approximately 70% of your 4.8 million annual expenditures. So just to kind of like, is that a lot? Is that a little? So it's a way of thinking about it. And then just because I pointed out the pension before, if you look at the pension line item there, I don't know, about 2/3 of the way down, and you read all the way across, it says other funds, so it's IMRF fund, $369,741. Those are the checks that you wrote to IMRF. And what checks do you write to IMRF? Whatever they tell you to write. And so that really doesn't change. Well, they figure out what you need to write, you write the check, everything should be fine. So that $553,000 is what's added with those accruals of the deferred inflows and outflows and net change in pension liability. That's how you got $553,000 added to that. That's how you end up with a $923,000 pension expense. So that's so much for that. Any questions on that? Because the rest, I'm not going to say much else. I'm going to let you go pretty quickly. Those are the two main financial statements. If we page through this, I'm going to say page 8, boilerplate, page 9, pretty much the same as last year. Page 10 is pretty much the same. Page 11 is pretty much the same. Page 12, the only thing interesting in the middle, property taxes, I do point out that the revenue that we're recognizing is from the 2015 levy. So that's a levy passed at the end of 2015, I believe. And so, yeah, because that was collected in May through December of 16. Okay. Page 13 is breakdown of your capital assets and some information on your long-term debt. On top of page 14, similar. I'm sure if you remember from last year, I'm sure you're aware that the Series 2010A bonds were paid off last year. So they're gone. And yeah, that's your future debt service requirements. That equipment debt, that's, was it RFID equipment last year or something you purchased as part of your package or something? And then, again, if you ever have insomnia, whip this thing out, start reading page 14, 15, 16, and 17, and that's your defined benefit plan, your IMRF note. And I'm going to point out two things. So bottom of page 17, the net changes, again, your net pension liability, this Andrew is asking me this, wait a second, our net pension liability went down $284,000. How did we get this crazy pension expense? Well, again, it's wrapped up in those deferred inflows and outflows. And then the other thing I always like to point out, I'm sure I pointed out last year, was, this is not a bad thing they do this, but they're pointing out that this is an estimate. So your net pension liability, they're estimating to be $2.2 million. But they're also estimating the internal rate of return is going to be 7.5%. And they're like, well, if we only get 6.5%, then I guess your liability is $3.7 million. If we get 8.5%, your liability is only $983. So they're just trying to say, this is an estimate, and this is kind of how it fluctuates. So these guys, they think for the long term, and they're trying to, look going out farther. And I guess so, top of page 18, that's still your pension note, and that's where you get into the deferred outflows and inflows of
What does it
resources.
fluctuate on? What causes it to fluctuate?
Well, like some examples, it's good that you mentioned on page 18, at the top, they talk about like some of these deferred items, like differences between expected and actual experience, like on investments, on assumption changes, net difference between projected and actual earnings on pension plan investments. So it's primarily fluctuations in investments.
Okay.
And then also as your demographics change, they're predicting that people get more raises, you hire more younger people, older people, people retire, different people retire,
They change their methodology.
they change your methodology.
It's all a big fat guess.
Yeah. But they work really hard at it.
Yes.
And they're really smart people, so, but yeah, I
They've done
mean,
a survey and actuaries have the highest pay, low stress combination.
wow,
Yeah.
we should all be such.
We should have been actuaries.
Either that or baseball players, because you can still strike out 2 out of 3 times and you'll be a star. And then this is, again, pretty much the same stuff as last year. These adjustments are the differences between the fund accounting and the government-wide accounting. I have to say, maybe of all of our clients, this is the most adjustments I see on anybody, so it's an accountant's dream. Then I'm going to point out page 20 at the bottom, note 12, commitments. We added a new one this year, the technology commitment you signed on with.
Innovative Interfaces.
Yeah.
Triple I.
Yeah, and
For
so
the
this is
CRM.
like your commitment for your upgrading software, I think, is it like?
Yeah, we signed a 5-year deal basically because we got the best deal by stretching it out, and the marketplace and the ILS industry is not gonna change in those years. So
Yeah, so you're basically committed to 100 plus per year, so we disclose that. We talk about your transfer, and then we talk about the 2017 levy that you guys had fun with. Your 2016 levy you had fun with, and 2017 levy how you're going to adjust it for the
right.
things in 2016. And I'm not quite done. Looks like I'm done, but I'm not done. We don't care about 22, that's a required statement. 23, it's kind of more of the same, only historically. 24, more of the same, only historically. 25 is where you get detailed information about, budget and actual. You guys see those numbers all the time. And then again, 26 and 27, these were on pages 6 and 7 where we said other funds. These are the other funds. So this is the balance sheet and income statement for these multiple funds that were referenced there. Any questions or comments, anything I can help with? Want to know the score tonight or anything like that?
Nobody have any comments?
Do you have any comments? We
I
all hope
do.
that you do.
I do.
Okay.
I would like to comment that Chris and his firm have been doing their audit for 8 years, which is the maximum. When I came on as treasurer, it was 5 years, but I convinced the board we can up it to 8 years because that's what the state of Illinois allows for the state's audits. So why couldn't we do the same? He and his firm have done, as far as I know, a wonderful job. We have never received any complaints about this from the staff that you made them do ridiculous things, which auditors can do. And we've always gotten our statements in the time. He was patient with the board during when the board had difficulties, and we're really sorry to see him to not be having you as our auditors in the future. And you can certainly use us, as people who are extremely pleased with you on your website. And
We appreciate that very much, and I have to say, this is the only time in my somewhat long career, no gray hair, that I've ever gotten a thank you card from an audit client that had to fire me, so I appreciate that too. And you guys have been great to work with, very professional, and you guys take seriously what you do, and I appreciate that. And so
And we're only changing because after so many years, we want to make sure that our auditors and our staff remain independent. And you can become friendly after a while, so.
Okay. I'd argue with that, but that's all right, I understand. 8 years isn't a bad run. Places that do it after 3 years, we don't bid on those. Because it takes you 3 years to figure out where the bodies are buried, and then to look in the right places. But, no, I appreciate that, and I appreciate, I've known this all year long, that this was the plan, so I have no problem, I appreciate it.
So, and we'll be looking for your input on, your competitors and who you can
Hey.
recommend. And
Yeah, there are a few good firms out there.
so we're just really sad to see you go.
Well, thanks for your compliments and confidence, and I think you guys got a good team here, and I'm sure you are very proud of it. So, all the best to y'all.
Yeah, thank you.
Thanks so much.
Thank you. You can go home and tell your wife you got applause.
What's that?
You can go home and tell your wife and staff you got applause. We don't-
That's right.
Accountants don't get them often.
Oh yeah, I need the magic
There's
letter.
the
Oh,
recommendation.
oh, this is what I'm supposed to sign. Oh, this one.
This one, yeah. the magic
I've read
letter.
it already. Joe.
Thanks, Brian.
It's been a pleasure.
Yeah, it's been a pleasure.
Oh, wait. If nobody has any objections, and I can get another board member to sign this check, I pulled it out.
I love
We
going
can
home
save
with
some
money.
staff, can save a stamp.
That's right.
Be fiscally responsible, aren't you?
I'm 59 cents, it's 59 cents.
I have to have the letter, but the check is nice.
Okay.
Take
No,
your
I just
time.
don't understand. Oh, okay, no, I got it. Sorry.
It's
Oh.
okay, I can explain it.
Chris, I need that.
Okay, you're gonna make a copy?
Andrea trained me well.
Yeah, it's good. It was good to pay attention.
Doug, is it
Tell you,
okay
I've been
if we give
around
him the check?
boards that I've seen them,
I'll take care of it.
they have dual signatures,
gonna
but they're signing
gonna
a bunch of
violate our
blank checks. I'm like,
control.
yeah, that's not right.
No.
I'll give it to him, because he wrote us up once, because we gave the checks back to you.
That's right. Can't do that.
Don't forget.
Yeah.
He wrote us up once.
Thanks so much, y'all. Have a good meeting.
Thanks, Chris.
Go Cubs.
Yeah. One more time.
Follow me. I do have my-
So is it ever, do we ever push that to more than 8 years, or is that by law we have to do it? or
It's
just
not
a
by
common
law, but
practice?
it's, like, where I work, we've been auditors for the same firm for, 30
Yeah.
years. I've had clients for 24 years. And, I maintain my independence, and, they probably do too. But since the state of Illinois does it, and we as trustees want to be above reproach, we don't, I was certainly willing, definitely wanting to go beyond the 5 years, because it's a lot of work to
Work.
change accountants. Not only is it board work, that's the easy, nothing part of it. The staff have to, get used to new people, they'll ask for different schedules. I'm sure that Chris's firm will, give us work paper setups, we probably got them on staff. There's computer programs and history of documents that I'm sure that he'll be more than willing to hand over to the next auditors, which will save us some money. And, but it's just, since the state of Illinois switches, and we never want somebody to come, and I'm not implying that there was ever anything
No.
that wasn't on the up and up, but we never, as a board, want somebody to come, well, you had the same auditors for 30
Right.
years, did it ever occur to you that they might have been a little friendly?
Yeah.
So,
So it's our choice, it isn't a law that's telling us, it's a good practice.
exactly.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah.
I'm not aware of any law that makes us change, but it's definitely. good
I agree with
practice.
Andrea on this completely. I just think it's best practice. And unfortunately, I mean, Chris is a true professional and he's a pleasure to work with, but I think at the end of the day, it's just
Makes
good,
sense.
good practice.
Okay.
So,
Yeah, so we'll wait till that comes up later in the agenda, I believe. Switching auditors.
Yeah, that's
Yeah.
later in the agenda, but for right now, does anyone want to make a motion on the statements?
Last movers.
I move we accept the financial statements.
I second it.
You mean as of what it says here?
Yeah,
Yeah.
sorry, I was just looking at
She's so moved as
So
what's in
moved.
the agenda say.
the
Bunny
financial
and
statements
just
for the
second.
fiscal year, yeah.
Okay? Any further discussion? Let's have a roll call.
Farkapisi,
Aye.
Kotsinis,
Aye.
Linsdau,
Aye.
Sutton,
Aye.
Beckwith,
Aye.
absence, Ketman, and Colwell. Ayes have it.
Okay, consent is next. Anyone want to take anything off the consent agenda? Okay, can I have a motion?
I move to accept the consent agenda as presented.
I'll second that. Any discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Abstain. Okay. President's report, page 11. Questions, comments? Anyone else have a report they want to make?
Yes, I'll make one.
Okay.
This past week, the library held what I think is its first lock-in for the, certainly the first one I knew about. So I didn't know about it. It was a laser program for middle school and high school age kids. I have to say it was a very good program, well put together, and my son enjoyed it a lot.
great. Glad to hear it. Made me nervous from a liability point of view with the lock-in after hours, but I'm glad it went well.
Yeah.
No, I knew it would, but still.
Anyone else? Okay. Committee reports, 13, 14, 15. Comments, questions, corrections? Nothing? Okay, Ryan?
A couple of things that aren't in the report. First of all, I want to mention ILA, which was last week, so I think the highlight for us definitely was Tuesday. Debbie Oppen officially received the Reader's Advisory Award, so that was great. We'll talk about the public recognition event we're going to have here later. Then on Thursday, Eddie and I gave a presentation basically about the importance of culture in a library and how his security team has embraced the culture of the library and our 5 core values and how he's made some changes to enhance the security team. And Eddie was fantastic, and the room was full, and the program was well received. We've received emails since the program. Yeah, so that's always a good thing when you present and people follow up with you. That doesn't always happen. So I was really happy about that. And yeah, ILA was great. So I talked to Joe about this. So what I'm going to do for the next director's report is I'm going to have a summary of the highlights of ILA, because I realize I go to this and there's some things I want to share with the board. So it was a nice conference. Also, I want to talk a little bit about the 45th anniversary, some of the things that we have planned. We don't want to steal any thunder from the 50th anniversary is what I'm saying. So it's going to be a little bit more low key. We're going to spread out events. The official 45th anniversary of the library is January 10th of 2018. And on that day at 10:30, following nursery rhyme story time, which Miss Patty is doing, we're going to have a small reception, cupcakes. We'll have some some of pictures and scrapbooks laid out. We're not going to have a bunch of speeches or anything like that. It's going to be very informal. That's on the 10th at 10:30. I think it's a Wednesday. It's a Wednesday. Also in January 23rd, we're going to do a tea and tour, which we are saying is steeped in history. I didn't come up with that, but it's pretty good. So that's the 23rd. So throughout the Inside Angle, the next 4 issues, you'll see the logo. We have this really great 45th anniversary logo, and it will we're gonna have at least 45 events that are we're highlighting as the 45th anniversary event. We're gonna do the 45 books and for the 45th anniversary. That was Andrea's idea. So we've got some smaller things planned, but
Reading a lot of children's books, they go fast.
yeah, I'll be done first week. So anyway, so that's kind of some of the
What
highlights.
date did you say the tea and tour is?
That's the January 23rd.
Oh, okay.
And then the Inside Angle the next Inside Angle that comes out, it has a cover of the 45 years of the library, and it's pretty cool. So I'm excited about it. So yeah, so it's gonna be a fun year. Any questions about anything else in the report?
One question, maybe I'm just misreading under safety and security.
Yeah.
There's an incident where 5 adults were suspended and it says permanent. I thought 1 year was our maximum.
Well, I will pass out the incident report, George, and
Just curiosity.
no, I thought that there was,
I had
yeah.
the same
Yeah, here.
thought, but-
So basically, long story short, there was well, I'll just summarize it. This happened in our library at 10 a.m. Poor Joe Faust, who is in our facilities team, observed this. There was basically a failed drug deal in the parking lot. I wish I was making this up. There were two gentlemen going at it, and the female accomplice drove was it a silver Chrysler Town and Country van and hit someone else. So under these circumstances, yes, this is a permanent ban for these 5 people.
And our policies do allow a permanent ban?
Yeah, yeah.
So they hit another person they were arguing with, or they hit one of
Yeah,
the-
it was they were trying
Patrons.
to sell marijuana, and it was a deal that went bad.
Between the police station and the library?
Yeah, yeah.
At 10 in the morning, I mean,
Yeah.
think of it.
Okay,
So-
not the brightest
Police
criminals
are
in the world.
early
Right.
criminals.
Gosh.
So, but staff responded well. Joe handled it well. Obviously not his area of expertise, but they called the police, and we identified these individuals, and now they've been charged, and hopefully we won't have any problems from them again. I mean, it wasn't really even it didn't have an incident in
to
the.
testify?
But he assisted the police in this. He gave them information that they needed. So, yeah. So it did happen on library property in the parking lot, and I think this is, a good reminder that as safe as you try to make the library, even the parking lot with some lady driving through and hitting someone else, people need to be careful on property. So I know after this happened, I came on the Saturday book sale with the boys, and I gripped their hands tight and looked around the parking lot, and I hadn't thought about that before, but it can be dangerous here, so it's a unfortunate reminder of that.
And they're in the southwest parking lot. They didn't even think to go on the north. Police station is not.
Care.
It's-
Yes,
Yeah. So
feet away from the kinder here.
gee.
so
You
yeah.
want these
that's-
back?
Sure. Yeah.
Let's pass them.
Oh, there's a whole thing on the
On the
back.
back, yeah, I didn't,
I'm gonna read this thing.
well, then give it back to us, I didn't read it.
I wanna read it back.
Here you go. Anyone else?
right, any other questions about the Ryan's report?
Do we have Batman on staff just in case?
Batman.
We're working on it, George.
How about Robin?
We're just trying to get a signal, you know. Switch. That we don't have to actually pay him, we'll just use him for free.
Okay, a Lone Star.
Oh, is it? Yeah, it's over there, yeah. So we are officially enrolled in the program, and so we have the telescope with us tonight. It's not quite as heavy as it looks, but it's definitely, I know this isn't state of the art, but it's pretty nice telescope, I think.
It's pretty cool.
Yeah.
It is super cool.
So
Was
people can
everyone
check
here
this out.
when Lori came to talk to us about, okay.
So we're in the process of working out how we're gonna handle this in terms of circulation and all that kind of fun stuff, but we have it. And they provided this one for free. If we wanna add to our collection, we'll have to pay. And I think, what was the price? I wanna say it's like, what, $200+ or something like that, so, man, $250, yeah, so that's an option for us.
Definitely doable.
Yeah, so.
Now, do we have to carry insurance on it, or what happens if it gets damaged?
In their history, they've had very few instances, and we can contact them if we need assistance with
Do you
repairs.
carry it like that, or is there a case for it?
There's no case. They
Interesting.
told us that's the way to do it
It isn't?
It's not.
Oh, looks like it weighs
because
a ton.
they said this is the best way to carry it, and some libraries have their staff go out and observe people like putting those things and putting the seatbelts around them. I don't know that we're going to do that. We're still trying to work out the specifics.
Details of what-
Yeah, because this is new. This is new for us. So we've circulated some traditional items, but it's a little bit
Oh, it
different.
looks
It's
super
gonna be
cool.
not checked out, yes?
Yeah,
Mhm.
Yeah.
yeah. That's the point. Yeah.
What do you do with it in the library?
All right, 2001 is the next, meteor shower, that's in August.
You wouldn't be able to use that to observe a meteor
Meteor
shower.
shower.
No.
It's
Meteor
too-
shower involves looking at the whole sky because
To
anywhere
make it
in the
eye,
sky
I
you
know.
could see a meteor. This is more if you want to look at the
And
of course
rings
it
of
is.
Saturn, moons of Jupiter type thing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You land
It's
back.
pretty cool.
It's really awesome.
Really nice.
Yeah.
Wow.
You know, the high school has an astronomy club. Should probably let them know we got this.
Yeah, that has the overview of the program, and actually that's interesting because it shows the different libraries in terms of.
It's really-
I think there are some libraries that have, one or two or three, and then some libraries have, at least a dozen. So we're gonna see how it goes, but yeah, I think it's gonna be popular.
And when is it gonna be available to the public?
Hopefully the next couple of months.
Yeah.
I mean, it's not the best timing in the world because by the time we'll be ready, it will be cold outside, but
Vernon Hills
probably a good
has-
soft
When you
launch,
see
yeah.
Actually gives
Yeah,
you
I think
clearer
that's a
skies
better
to
idea.
view
Better
though.
skies, yeah.
Vernon Hills has 13, is that what that means?
Yeah, that's right.
Oh, okay.
That's just funny, I don't know.
Yeah, maybe it was for a class or something.
But if you think about it, this is that kind of like the perfect thing for a library to be doing because
Yeah.
if that's what this thing is, $250. If my child wants to, hey, Dad, I want to get a telescope. Well, that's a big investment. Let's see if we like it first. So
Oh, thanks to them.
Are we gonna let her know that we're doing it?
let Lori's.
Lori, yeah.
Yeah, we can.
Yeah,
Sure.
that'd be nice, I think.
Yeah.
If we could.
You may send her an email or?
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay, auditor, Church.
Okay, so auditor switch. So optimally, I would like to get it all wrapped up by, December, January. Because after January, auditors get too busy to do things. And so this is our sweet time where they'll actually do a proposal. And they'll do it anytime, but we're gonna get more attention, a more thoughtful process at this time. So I think it would work well if we could have, just 2 or 3 of us to do things like look what other other local libraries have. We can ask them what they've been paying. So, what we've gotten a very competitive price from Chris McClure's firm.
Okay.
So, I mean, our firm couldn't touch an audit for that. So, and I'm sure that he'll give us some help on who he has recommendations as well. So if I could get a couple of volunteers, that I don't think we need to take the entire board's time, maybe we can, because we can still have a finance committee meeting, right, Joe? I think we left that option open.
Yeah.
So that's not part of the committee of the whole. We just meet, decide what our game plan, we'll split up duties and then meet again and then so then we'll give Ryan the list of who we'd like sent, a request for proposal.
Okay.
And then they'll bring them in and then Ryan's staff will hand them over to us. And then we'll meet again to go over them and see where the price is, because it may not all be on price, it's on reputation and things like that, so. But
Is there a library that we like view as our,
like a mirror.
yeah, or our guide to
Yeah,
who
I
we
think the
who we
local
emulate
Cook
or something?
libraries, Cook Library and, all of our surrounding.
Yeah, I mean, I guess our neighbors. The thing with public libraries is we all serve such unique communities. So I don't know if
Yeah.
there's like a perfect model for us to look to, but
Okay, well, I just wondered, the big thing in the business world is to have, peer reviews, and to have, I just wondered who we considered our peer libraries. That's all.
yeah.
Just to see like, who do they use, and just a curiosity.
Yeah. Like number of patrons, that's the
I mean, I
same
wouldn't
size
compare
or?
ourselves to, maybe
Well,
we
we do
should,
that when,
Naperville or
um,
something, but I mean, Naperville seems so big, it's like.
They're
the
big,
city.
yeah,
Cities, yeah.
yeah. That's a problem, man. When you look at the different libraries, there's not really one that, in my opinion, really perfectly fits us. Maybe someone
Yeah.
would disagree with me, but you look at like EAV and budgets and staff, and they're all kind of all over the place.
Yeah.
Some of our neighbors have just frankly much less resources than we do, and then some of our neighbors have more resources than we do. So it's hard, but.
I just wonder if there was somebody comparable, that's all.
There's no one comparable. We did run we did get a list basically through this goes
We
way
get the
back to-
Laconia survey, or we've gotten it in the past.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And.
And you can break it down by
Actually,
like.
speaking of the Laconia survey, are we gonna be able to get a current copy? Because that's one of the things we use to evaluate pay for the one employee that we decide that for.
We have
Okay.
a management association survey. The
Got it.
Laconia survey is they've combined with management association. There's been some kind of turmoil with how that's been handled. But yeah, you'll have something that's very similar.
We couldn't get it,
Yeah.
remember, yeah, it's kind
Yeah.
of gone. another
Yeah, well, they've essentially gone with management
Yeah.
association, so that's what it is.
So we can sort it by population and number of employees and budget, and we can see who's close to us in all kinds of different ways.
And we
I
have
would
used
think
that data in the past when we were searching for a director, when we were determining what pay raises to give, et cetera.
Okay.
It's not
So
as
comparison.
useful for things like auditors or materials, because we have different population types. It makes it much more difficult to compare apples to apples.
But didn't you say that there were auditing firms at ILA that you?
Yeah. Actually, this is a list that I actually, instead of going around and talking to them all individually, this is a list that Northbrook went through the process a couple years ago, and this is from Northbrook Public Library. So it's not necessarily a comprehensive list, but we can. I mean, it's a good start, and we can certainly add to that, or if you want to go out. I mean, I think.
Well, I think
Go
we
ahead.
can go just on the other libraries and see who their auditors are, and
Sure. Yeah.
we can also ask their boards, their libraries, see how because our statements are on our website. All we have to do is go to their website, bring up their statements, and see who their auditors are. And
Yeah, there are a
they've
couple-
been their auditors for a couple of years.
Yeah. A couple different ways we can get the information for sure.
So we can get together, the 2 or 3 of us, split up our list, local libraries, and see who's gonna check out which websites. And,
Sure, I can help you.
okay.
I
So-
probably could too.
Oh, great, I got 2 volunteers. We don't need any more, unless there's a fierce
As long as you tell me
competition.
exactly what I have to ask and what kind of figures I have to get, I'm good.
Yeah.
I can do
I
that
need
kind
some
of
help with
homework,
that
but
too.
Okay, no, but we'll
we
work
just put out a
together.
little list of
And
things.
I don't
we can
remember the
follow
question you
this.
asked, but I was really proud of that question. I thought it was a really good question, the one you asked Chris. So,
Oh, I asked
With the
him,
pension. Yeah.
I can't even remember. I
I was
asked
like-
him what we measured on or something.
I know, but I was so proud.
Okay,
I'm
so,
glad
Okay, so we can meet,
Glad I have been proud.
either before, in conjunction with one of the other meetings, before or after, so that way we don't have to make a separate trip.
Yeah,
So
that'd be good.
we'll talk about it after this and
Okay.
then.
Okay.
and then let me know if we should put it on what agenda, if we should put it on committee of the whole, or, so we keep it moving along.
Of course, you're welcome to go, as you are to everything.
I might skip it.
Or you could skip it.
think
You've got
you
enough
guys
to
had
do
it.
already.
Yeah. Okay, anything else on that? All right, so first thing on new business is approval of the minutes, page 29. It's on new business because somebody was absent, I
I
can't
was
remember who it
absent,
was,
that's
but anyway.
I
So-
was remote, so
Oh, yeah, no, you
I
weren't
missed
absent.
half of it.
Not half.
Okay,
Okay,
the first,
You missed
And I
the
was not
public
here at
hearing.
all.
yeah, I missed enough of it that I'll wind up abstaining.
Yeah, and I was not here.
so, we should maybe do them separately then, or,
Yes.
yeah. Okay, can I have a motion on the public hearing minutes?
I move to accept the public hearing minutes as presented.
I'll second that. Any discussion? Let's have a roll call.
Sutton,
And I don't know, I was not here, so.
Abstain.
Abstain, yeah.
Linsdau,
Yes, approved, whatever.
Farkapisi,
Aye.
Kotsinis,
Abstain.
Beckwith,
Aye.
Uh-oh. Yeah, we get a majority of it.
Yeah, we got
yes,
it, yeah.
yes,
Okay.
I'm looking
ayes have
around
it, ayes
Yeah.
have
Okay.
it,
It's always confusing when we have three
yes.
votes.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Okay, and I move that the board approve the regular meeting minutes for September 19th, 2017, as presented.
Second.
And I'll ask, since I was not here for the first 2 minutes until you called me in, do I vote on this one or not?
Yes, you can vote,
Okay.
yes, yeah. We did
You were on
nothing
the
before we
phone.
called you in.
What?
You were on the phone. You could
Yes.
hear.
Yeah, yeah.
You just weren't allowed to participate.
Exactly, so you'll have to take our word that we did say the pledge. So no other discussion?
Do we have to vote for the
Yeah,
second?
let's have a roll call on this one too.
Okay. Sutton,
abstain.
Kotsinis,
Aye.
Caldwell, absent, Kedman, absent, Linsdau,
Aye.
Farkapisi,
Aye.
Beckwith,
Aye.
ayes have it.
Okay, next is monthly financials. They were in our committee of the whole agenda and we postponed.
My apologies.
No worries,
No
we're happy
The only
it turned
question I
out right.
had was like the $12,000 or $14,000 we spent on locks. I thought if they were gonna be ridiculously expensive, which it sounds like they are, we would just get manual locks. And did we have to buy a program to go? I don't remember what it was at, but I did not forget.
No, we chose to do the electronic locks. There were because we talked about this with the staff, and there were all kinds of issues with doing the manual locks, which obviously escaped my mind
Like
at the
holding a
moment.
key.
Guys, what page are we on? I'm sorry.
No.
Oh, I just remember in my head.
We're not on.
Yeah,
this
we're-
Yeah, I think one of the
This
things
is the-
that
We brought
It's
the
in here
bucket.
one of the
somewhere.
things that came up during Jerry, I know, was like when we talked about doing active shooter training, for example. With the system that we have now, staff can run, and even if they don't have their fob on them, they can punch in a code. Or if someone people don't always carry on their keys with the system we have now. So that
Now,
was
is
one of
this
the
a
things.
one-time charge, or is this like a programming thing?
No,
that's
this
gonna be a
is because we have to
continually-
change systems. So it should
No, I
not-
know it's because we're changing systems, but is it a one-time charge, or is it's gonna cost us, like in programming and other fees over
Did
and
we
over
buy the
again?
locks or lease them?
No, that's not me. Like, is there an annual update in computer programming?
I think there is
there?
a software.
I think Kevin's
Kevin's here. Great. I didn't see Kevin there. I would have turned it over to him. Sorry.
No, Andrea, it's an upgrade. So it's no different than any other system that we have in technology that we're upgrading.
Okay, so it's not like we're gonna have to keep paying for it on like a monthly or yearly thing, not until the next upgrade.
Well, we're changing over to a cloud-based So the company that we have, which is no different than a lot of systems that we have, the older part of the system was on a server here. It's no longer supported. So we're migrating over to a cloud system. So there are some fees to that, but it's no different than any other systems that we run here.
So that sounds like a yes, there are continuing fees.
Yes, but it's
'Cause I
not,
like
it's
yes
not
and
in the
no
nature of
answers.
14,000. If you're looking at the 14,000 or 15,000, that's a part of the upgrade that we're doing.
And
It's
how
like
much
the
are the
mic-
continuing fees?
Well, I'd have to look that up. I don't have that.
We can get it for you.
We can-
I'd like to know that.
But that's something that we do with other systems as well, so.
I
when you go to-
understand that,
When you
but-
go to a cloud system, there's gonna be fees incurred.
Yeah, I'm just surprised that we weren't told in advance.
We talked about it. It was in
We
the-
talked about it,
yeah.
and we talked about options, but we were never told until
Yeah.
I'm
Okay.
receiving the financial statements, and it's already happened. You have the authority to do that, obviously. It's not against,
Sure. Well,
rules that-
I guess I should have followed up a little bit more on that because we did have the discussion, so that's fair.
that
Any
was
other
my only
questions?
question.
Someone want to make a motion?
I move to accept these are September's, right?
August.
August financial
Oh, they
statements
are.
as presented.
I'll second.
Any further discussion? All those in favor, say aye.
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 Opposed, abstain. Okay. 13C, resolution to determine estimate of funds needed, page 37.
Yeah, we actually have the
And the
resolution
resolution
here.
was an email?
Yeah, and I also sent it out electronically the other day.
Yeah.
but-
Mhm.
So yeah, so as I said in the memo with this, I wasn't exactly sure how to proceed because of the failed abatement. So I talked to Roger, and was his recommendation on how to proceed, was to basically have a note that was very clear in here that so just to recap, the reason for this resolution is to basically for the Truth in Taxation Act. So to be compliant with that, one of the ways that Warren Newport can be compliant with that is to adopt a resolution. This resolution basically says, okay, if this levy is going to be over 5% than the 2016 extension, you have to have a hearing open to the public. But if it's going to be less, you do not. So what this resolution is saying for all intents and purposes is that it's not going to exceed the 5% threshold. Obviously, we're not going to come anywhere close with the levy because when I work with Roger and the Lake County Clerk's office to make sure the levy is right, we're going to right the wrong of last year, and we want to make sure we do that the right way so we don't hurt ourselves in the future. So it's a little bit more complicated than it usually is.
But the following year, for taxpayers, they're gonna feel a bit of a shock because it's gonna go, last year it went up. This year it's gonna be artificially low. So what they're gonna feel like is it's a double increase. Because last year it was higher, this year it's lower. So we were like this, then last year we accidentally did this. So this year we're going to do this on purpose.
Equalize it.
So
And then we're
then
gonna
it's
go
gonna,
back
Then
up
it'll
to
be
the
back to
full
where it
point.
was.
Yeah, in my opinion, I think the only thing we can really do is just be as proactive as we can and publicize that fact and be as open about it as possible. Because I think one of now obviously it was a bad thing that happened, but one of the few positives that came out of it was the fact that we were very open about the mistake that was made, and people appreciated that. We got feedback like, we appreciate you telling us what happened.
I had people say to me that they were alarmed, and then when they saw what was in the newsletter, they were,
Yeah.
they appreciated
So we'll
that.
have to make sure we're very
Yeah.
proactive about publicizing, okay, this is why it's going back up. Not that that's gonna be perfect. I know I'm gonna get phone calls about it. There's no doubt about it, but what more can you
Might even
do?
make sure that they understand why it's gonna look artificially low than if the flower.
yeah, I think we
Yeah.
should start preparing people
Yeah.
Yeah.
for the artificially low in the newsletter now.
Yeah, that's good.
Right.
Yeah. So
And
what
of course, our largest taxpayers, we should reach out to more directly.
Well,
Hopefully.
this would be something that I've been advised that that's not the best idea.
Really?
Yeah.
Let's not bait
To
them.
single them out.
Okay.
Right, right.
But we can be the one government in the entire country that's completely honest.
Right.
Okay, can I have a motion on this then?
So moved.
I'll second. Further discussion? Let's have a roll call.
Ketman, absent. Colwell, absent. Linsdau,
Aye.
Farkapisi,
Aye.
Sutton, Kotsinis,
Aye.
Beckwith,
Aye.
ayes have it.
Okay, 13D is the approval of the Wintrust agreement, and I'm gonna let you explain.
Basically, what this agreement does is it's, the board is authorizing both Doug and myself to set up this brokerage account so we can accept stock. I mean, at the end of the day, that's all it says here. That's a very simplified explanation, but
Yeah.
Have we been offered any stock?
yes,
Yes.
yes.
We have a stock offering right now.
Yes.
Is it okay if
I'm sorry, what was the question?
if there was a offer
An
of a
offer
gift
of
of
stock.
stock? This is a-
There is a,
This is a public meeting recorded, that's why.
if I may, Madam
Please.
President,
Please?
I'm sorry, I thought you were aware of it.
The first I saw of it was when I read the board packet.
I have, no, as long as the board approves the donation no later than the November board meeting, Irv and I will donate $25,000 to establish an endowment, which is why I also requested that the board look at an endowment policy. I don't know, is there much more to?
That's all I needed to
And
know.
Nancy, I don't want to put you on the spot, but since this is being recorded, I wasn't sure how comfortable you were with me saying in an
That's
open
enough.
meeting that.
Oh, well, hey,
That's
any of
enough
the
to satisfy. And
emails
thank
to
you,
the
Nancy.
board and to you are
Sure, I know, but it's quite.
FOIA-able, so,
Sure.
you know.
No, I wanted
hey.
to, I appreciate
And the
that.
policies on it will be on the November
And it's a
committee.
Yeah.
wonderful thing.
Thank
Okay.
you.
And any additional contributions to the endowment fund would be great, guys.
So since Nancy and Irv stepped forward to offer this very generous donation to establish the endowment fund, in order for us to accept it, we need to establish this brokerage account.
I'm for it then.
And
2 minutes ago, I was against it, but now.
I'm sorry about that
Sure, that
because
isn't
of the
contribution.
especially the
Part
last.
of the deal is that the contribution is in appreciated assets.
Right, which will be immediately sold.
Yeah.
We won't hang on to stock, we're not in the investment
Right,
risk business.
right.
So people who donate stock get a tax break, but the charities, or in this case, a government agency who receives it, doesn't hold on to it.
They must
We sell
sell
it,
it. Okay.
Yeah.
so,
Any other questions for Nancy?
which is why we
Yeah.
need someone to sell it for us.
Yeah, and so
understand.
when I met with Nancy, obviously we talked about the timeline here, and we wanted to move quickly, so we investigated our options, and Doug and I felt most comfortable with working with Gurney Community and Wintrust. So so we think this is we'll be all set then. We think it's a good relationship with them. So.
And can we close that account as soon as things transact and the transaction's complete? I'm not in favor of keeping an account open. Because as you can see, it can be open, because then it would take another board action to close it, but
Yeah.
I'm not for keeping an account open. They're easy enough to open and then close, unless we're anticipating another gift in the very near future.
And why would you not want to keep it open?
Because it's another, you don't have extra accounts open just because.
Just to hold it.
So, it might be another, should we get another account in 6 months? It's easier to open another account than, I'd rather have one account sitting there open, a brokerage account,
Mhm.
where
What's
things
the-
can happen, not that anybody here would do anything that's unauthorized, but it opens a door.
If we sell all the stock right away, though.
You sell the stock and then liquidate the stock, and then it gets transferred into another account, and then you close the account.
Okay.
The only thing I would comment, for some time, the donation policy has stated that the library can accept gifts of stock. I would think that part of keeping the library's part of that policy would be having an account so that they could accept stock. That's just,
I understand that, but
Let's push this discussion to when we're looking at the policies at committee of the whole. Is that, I think that would be
Yeah, it makes sense.
better to do.
Yeah,
that.
a couple
Okay.
weeks, yeah.
All right, so I would like to move that the Wintrust Wealth Management non-corporate agreement be approved.
second.
Further discussion? Let's have a roll call.
Linsdau,
Aye.
Colwell absent, Farkapisi,
Aye.
Ketman absent, Kotsinis,
Aye.
Sutton,
Aye.
Beckwith.
Aye.
Ayes have it.
Okay, bylaws are on page 42. So you saw Ryan's cover memo that we asked about the certified ordinances, section 803. That was the one kind of question mark we had after committee of the whole, and you saw the answer to that. Do you have any questions about that? Can I have a motion?
I'm not gonna move because I was not there.
Okay, I move that policy 1001 bylaws be approved as presented.
I'll second.
Ooh, I think that might have been George.
Okay, George.
Any further discussion? Okay, let's have a roll call.
Kotsinis,
Aye.
Sutton,
Aye.
Colwell absent, Farkapisi,
Aye.
Ketman absent, Linsdau,
Aye.
Beckwith.
Aye.
Ayes have it.
Okay, F, treasurer's report, that was a mistake on Ryan's and my part. It really belongs on November, so we're gonna postpone that. No, it was a goof.
Yeah.
Yeah, so, sorry about that. Okay, other things for November, please. Besides what you see here, anything? Anything for committee of the whole? Okay. Anyone want to speak in public forum? Okay. Announcements. George, did you get my, the evaluation survey for the executive director and the instructions?
Yes,
And you're still good with the deadline?
I think so, yes.
Cool, okay. And then you can see, you want to talk about Debbie's reception?
Yeah, so, one of the things that we're doing because so many people couldn't make it down to Tinley Park for the ILA award ceremony. In fact, it was like limited capacity, so even if, let's say, 20 people from the community would have wanted to attend, they were actually turning people away. So, so we're having a public event. It's Monday, October 30th at 2. So I hope some of you can attend. So all the friends are invited, and the book groups that Debbie leads are invited. So it should be good. I know people are excited about it. So
Here at the library.
yeah, in the meeting rooms, yeah.
The meeting room, okay.
And then also on the same day, later that day, just happens to be Stephen Barrow's second retirement party from Algonquin. So I thought I'd share that with the board in case you were interested in attending. So they want RSVPs
Do you want to?
on Monday the
Thank you.
23rd if you plan on attending,
That's at 6 PM.
6 p.m.
Wait, that's the same day.
Same day.
Yes, it is.
Mhm.
Okay, anything else? Anyone else have announcements?
When they want RSVP by?
Monday the 23rd, next Monday.
What's your?
I knew that was coming, I knew that was coming.
Anyone else have an announcement?
Just a clarification, Monday, October 30th here at 2 PM is what?
It's the recognition for Denny Hopkins.
Yeah, so Debbie Hoffman's one of our great
Right.
librarians, and
Right.
yeah.
Okay. I just,
And refresh her memory what the award was. Mine too. What award did she get?
So it's a Reader's Advisory, it's like Reader's Advisory Service Award from the Illinois Library
Yeah, she
Association.
just received it at ILA last week. Was it last week or the week before?
Readers
Last week,
Advisory.
yeah.
Yeah, last week, yeah.
It was last Tuesday.
Did she get it for her videos? Or was there anything in particular?
Really for everything. So the way the award works is you need to be nominated. So Sandy and Kathy nominated her, and then there's a committee that's made up of different people in the library world, across the state, and then they look at all the nominations and they vote on it. So
Impressive.
yeah.
Super
So
cool.
stay the word.
Very
Yeah.
good, okay, thank you.
Okay, do you have any
Yeah.
other
Yeah.
announcements that you want to make?
I don't think so.
Okay, can I have a motion to adjourn?
Move to adjourn.
Who's second?
Whoa.
And
I think
You
Anna
have
was
to
the
ask me
second.
twice.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Abstained? Thank you. 8:05.
Appointment.
I'm gonna let Tom know that we're done.
The finance
okay,
committee.
yes.